Yeah, I've been dancing in my room, swaying my feet.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmate. So, my tackle about types of pre-fire planning. So, what is aircraft pre-fire planning? So, these are few areas in the fire protection that demand more effort than the aircraft pre-fire planning. However, the formulation of plans for this particular fire protection is very complex and involve aircraft pre-fire planning is not that simple. Aircraft incident planning to possibly even more important because of the vast number of possible and complex situations. So, um, ang aircraft pre-fire planning si nagkuhan siya para sa kuha is ang palitonon nga materials is fit man niya or kinahanglan siya maintenance para di gud maguba or kuan. And also po magpahit og materials kailangan double check nimo ang materials para makaya ba og pila ka years siya or di ba siya magubag dali. So mo to siya. The next is important factors involved in this planning. So first is location. So location, kapalong ta si location is na map na siya, makita nimo kung hanga lugar ka mo adto. Then second mission is madto ka sa location. Ang mission nimo is target sa lugar ka mo adto. Then ang climate is weather siya. Kung example lang, kung kusog ang weather karon is kusog kayong ulan, wet ang wind, so cancel ang aircraft. Kung dili pwede. Then terrain is kuha na siya kanang ground, kita nyo sa ubos, dili 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 ka limitado sa pagkuhan sa aircraft, dili kay pataas kayo. So that's all, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Gubate Nami Mama. So my topic is lesson 2.5, Pre-Fire Plan. So Pre-Fire Plan, it is process of an advanced and organized planning possible firefighting operation in a particular building or groups of building. So on my own understanding, ma'am, Pre-Fire Plan is ito yung proseso upang maaga pa natin ng maaga ang isang sunog sa pamagitan ng plano sa ating mga BFP organization. So bago sila mag operation, kailangan mo natin maggawa ng pre-fire plan para malaman natin ang at magawa natin ang sunog na maaaring mangyari sa ating kinatitirahan o tinatayuan. So fire department are organized to protect lives and property from fire within the area they survey. So ang ating fire departments tulad ng BFP ay naka-organize na sila upang protektahan ang may buhay, lahat ng may buhay tulad ng tao, hayop at saka iba pa. So saka naka-organize din sila para protektahan ng ating mga property, ating community sa pamagitan ng sunog, at sa especially sa kanilang tungkulin. So dito naman tayo sa purpose and requirements for pre-fire fire plan. So plans are prepared to explain procedure and geographically important information required during fire suppression operation. So alam na natin ng plans, di ba? Kailan mo natin mag-isip ng maigi para ma-prepare natin ang mga procedures. So mga geographical important information during sa ating operation sa sunog. So building fire plans are carried on each fire chiefs and assistant fire chiefs vehicles. Copies of each pre-fire plan, building, and aircraft are maintained in the fire alarm communication centers. So the first thing to be considered in any fire planning is the specific risk that might be involved for each physical situation. So such as number 1, so the specific risk is the street roads and alleys between the fire station and the scene of the fire. Number 2, location of the water supply and the volume and the pressure available. So the last one is that exposure is also be given consideration. So factors to be considered in pre-fire planning. So ito yung mga factor na kailangan natin i-consider sa ating ginawang pre-fire planning o gawang pre-fire planning. So kailangan nating recognize the specific problems involved when the fire occurs in a given building. So the question of availability of equipment sa ating mga kagamitan, kung kulang ba o ano, at saka the availability of manpower sa ating mga kakayahan. So that's all my topic, ma'am. Thank you.
Guys, good morning and good morning, ma'am. Have a nice day today. So my topic is all about pre-fire plan. It is a process of advanced and organized planning of a possible firefighting operation in the particular building or a groups in the buildings. So the fire department of organized to protect lives and property from within the areas of the service. Common sense dictates that firefighters, particular and senior fire officers, should have to analyze the problem, encounter the intelligently to perform an efficient and effective job. And the fire defense should be organized to prevent as many fires as possible from occurring, while at the same time be prepared to combat in the organized way those that cannot be pretended. That's all for my discussion and my reporting. Thank you for listening my topic.
Good day, ma'am. I am Julmar Fernandez Ribaldal, so I am here to tackle my report. Attack. The aim of the initial attack is to stop the spread of the fire as quickly as possible. So, ang attack, dili siya pasabot nga imong atakihon, dili nimo sumbagon or unsay imong buhaton, kundi imo ang pugngan ang kalayo para dili siya mo dako or mo spread pa ang kalayo sa lain-lain. Then, if there's a numerous spot of fire ahead of main blaze which take off, they will need the first attention. So, if na kay makita nga spot, kung baga dito muraga kuan ang kalayo, kusog kaayo or take off, so katoy mong unahon attention dito nimo unahon og pagpugsa sa kalayo. So dito nimo unahan og i-set ang kalayo mawala. Then as to the general rule, the attack should begin at the point or points where the fire is spreading or will spread most rapidly under severe conditions. So as I ganina nga kung nakay makita nga spot didto nimo unahon og kuan ang kalayo para hinahinay og ka-spread dito sa laing na kuan pa or dili siya mo katag pa sa lain. Sama sa kanang nakay makuan nga kalayo nga kusog kaayo din imong duda dito siya ga sugod yun. So mo to siya imong unahon para pag katong nga kalayo nga kusog mawala. So mga gagmay-gagmay na lang nga kalayo ang mabilin para dali ra makontrol. Next, such points should be found on the side of the hill adjacent, so patakag gilid to accumulations of high flammable fuel. So naarid to nga side on the uphill side of the fire, a step, slope, or on the side of the fire which being or will be driven by the prevailing whales. So nakay makita ang kalayo din ang slope sa lugar kay ga-adjacent. So na tendency dito mo kuan ang kuan kayo mga kalayo dayon tungod pod sa hangin prevailing sa wind ning samot og kuan kapaspas ang kalayo kay tungod ga-slope ang iyaang porma. And then attacking a fire directly at its heads is possible only when the fire is not advancing rapidly and when a large of men are available. So before ka mo kuan sa kalayo dapat imo ang lantawon kung dili ba paspas ang kalayo. Ayon, pwede po siya mabuhat nimo kung if daghang mong kauban nga mga lalaki para paspas mawala ang kalayo. Then, so for the note, working directly in the front of rapidly advancing fire is hazardous and there is always the possibility that the fire may outflank the control of the lines. So, ang pasabot ani ang dili ka mo direct sa katong kalayo nga kung asa nga kusog gyud kaayo dayon walay makakuan kay posible nga hazardous nga pwede ka masunog og apil dayon napoy posibilidad nga ang katong nga kalayo mamubigay or naasa kuan samot og kakusog. So dili makontrol na ang situation dito. So dapat yun safety safety. Para to ma'am, dagan salamat.
Good day everyone. I'm Gio Samudal and I'm going to discuss the topic natural cover fires. Natural cover fires involve grass, weeds, green brush, forests or other plant life. Forests are the most dangerous of all natural cover fires from standpoints of national problem. It involves more than intimidate monetary loss. This is insignificant compared with the effects of the future water supply and timber supply with the loss of hunting, fishing, and recreational facilities. Pag naggaganap itong national cover fires ay may posibilidad na magiging future effects through water, timber, and loss of hunting, fishing, and recreational facilities. Cover fires are also the great concerns to fire protection personnel in that such fire frequently involves farm, village, and uptowns. This is the reason fire protection organizations are called upon handled both structural and national cover fires. Ito yung dahilan bakit meron tayong isang Bureau Fire Protections or organizations na nag-prevent upang hindi magkaroon ng isang national cover fires. The great majority of national cover fires caused by man as the result of his careless the natural elements such as lighting, the sun, and the wind are thus responsible for this insignificant reminder. Dito malalaman ay yung causes of fire ay result ng pagiging isang careless ng isang tao. Katulad ng pag nagsisigarilyo siya ay kahit saan lang niyang tinatapon yung tirang sigarilyo niya ay pwede itong makakreate ng isang malaking sunog. Careless hunter, campers, fishermen, and frequently local resident account for more fires than other cause. Yung pag merong mga careless campers, just like nagbo-bonfire sila, ay yung kanilang tirang mga fire ay pwede itong posibilidad na makakreate din ito ng mga causes na mas magiging dangerous yung mga natural cover fires. Other causes of forest fires include transportations, vehicles or locomotives, burnings of rubbish, lumber's operations, and arsons. And that's all.
So good day, ma'am. So today I am going to report about the forest fire. So for the forest fire, extinguishment by aircraft, the water bomb, and other airborne devices are now being used with great effectiveness. Training and organization are essential to suppress forest fires successfully. Under extensive emergency conditions, it is frequently necessary to use all able-bodied personnel within an area. At such time, it is of utmost importance to have well-trained men available to organize and suppress untrained force. The complete and extensive training of fire guards and lookout men is paramount. The equipment used must be adequate and suited to the immediate environment. This implies the large vehicles will not be used where roads are narrow and where there are small bridges with a limited capacity. Area where the water supplies from ponds, lakes, small streams in plentiful might advantageously use several portable pumping units, but these units would be useless where the water is scarce. In some areas, water can equipped with a hand pump are carried on the backs of personnel. So, if you are having an experience of a fire forest, you must remain calm, go to the nearest telephone, and dial 911 to report the fire as quickly as possible to your local fire department. And calmly tell the emergency dispatcher when you saw it and where you saw it. If you see anything suspicious at or near the scene of the fire, take note and relay to the 911 as well. Stay on the telephone until the dispatcher tells you to hang up. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning. I am Sulaiman Muhammad Al Fama. I'm gonna report about types of natural cover fires. Natural cover fires are divided into four distinct types. Each of these types of fire is subject to variation in speed of fire's propagation, the size, type, and the quantity of fuel involved in the procedure required for extinguishment. And the natural types of cover fires is number one, ground fires.
Ground fires is ground fires travel at ground level or below the surface. Dry leaves, humus, peat, and other organic materials that have become part of the soil. The ground fires is example is kanang sa Amazon forest bitaw ma'am katong na nasunog ang Amazon forest. Ang gisugod siya kay sa ground fires kanang mga grass bitaw nga katong grass dito siya nagsugod. Maong ni dako ang apoy sa Amazon forest ay man dry manggod ang mga grass. Maong ni dako kayo ang fire sa Amazon dahil naglisod sila palaw kay pa-movement ang apoy. And number 2 is the surface fires. Surface fires burn over grass, weeds, green, brush, and shrubs. This type of fires travels rapidly if the wind is high and when the fuel is abundant. The heat is intense but short-lived because of the quick burning characteristics of the fuels. The surface fire pareha po sa Amazon forest. The surface fires burn into grass. This type of fire travels rapidly. Dali na siya mo mag-move kanang mo travel ang apoy. Just it's because of wind. Kung dako ang hangin, kung kusog ang hangin, ingato pod ka kusog mo mag-move ang apoy. And number 3 is crown fires. When you say crown fires is katong sa taas nga apoy. Crown fires are in the tops of trees and in high brush. When the heat generated by flash fuels at the surface is intense, the fires advances upward on the dried lower limb of the trees and continues to burn it in the tree tops. This condition occurs mostly in dense forests and only on steep slopes, in roads and canyons, or during high winds. A crown fire is the most feared of all natural cover fires. The enormous flame area draws the air of hundreds of yards from the fire line. This in turn. Okay, let's continue. The crown fires. Crown fires is the most feared of all natural cover fires because it's either natural or man-made. Kaning crown fires mo ni pinakadlock kay maybe kanang mo ra ni sa tao baka na yang yang tripping ba nga manulog siya kan na siya isunog dayon mao nang delikado kay ning kanang hadlock kayo ning crown fires. Dayon the last one is the spot fires. Spot fires are started in advance of the heats by the wind-blown sparks or bits of burning material. They are capable of creating a very dangerous situation. A number of spot fires may be emergent. The spot fires is also the dangerous types of cover fires because example kay spot fires in the spot na siya wakabalong mga tao nga nasunog ang isa ka lugar. Example is example kay kanang mga mall bitaw kanang kasi may mga in the spot ng mga bitaw nasunog and wakabalong mga tao mao lang pinaka dangerous na siya dagan damage nga property na maybe na mga matay or mga matay or kanang ma-injuries Mao kaning spot fires is mao ning pinakadelikado sa tanan. Kaning nakuan akong discuss kay mao ni siya spot fires is the very dangerous of sa ilang tanan. And mao ra to, sorry kung gaputol-putol. Thank you.
Hi. So, my report is parts of natural cover fire. So, meaning the extinguish of grass, brush, weeds, lots, forest, trash, and dump fires represent about 25% of the alarm and 50% of the fire fighting duties of many fire departments. So this head is the point where the fire line is progressing faster. Ito yung tuwing may nasusunog, inuna nila yung head, yung saan ba nagumpisa yung apoy, kasi mas importante yun. A natural cover fire may have number of heads depending on the type, abundance, and location of the fuel. Fire heads generally travel with the wind. The stronger the wind, the greater the speed of the fire because of frequent directional change of the wind, varying types and quantities of fuel, and topographic control difficult and often dangerous. So, ito yung mga nasunog na yung hangin ba, yung hangin kung dito punta sa kaliwa o sa kanan. Magdagdag yun na nag-increase yun ng sunog pag malaki ang hangin. So the windward or upward portion of the fire is called the tail. Usually the tail is on or near the general vicinity of the origin of the fire. All portion of the fire line between the tail and the various heads and toes. Usually the tail is or near generally of the fire. All portion of the fire line between the tail and the various heads and those slower burning areas between the heads are called the flanks. So ang mga nasunog na bahay ay ang tawag doon ay flanks nasunog. At sa yung windward or upward, tinatawag itong tail. So the rate of burning of this type of fire depends primarily on the velocity of the wind, type and abundance of fuel, and the general topographic condition. The head of the fire travels at the rate proportional to the wind velocity. Wind carries additional oxygen to the fire and increase the rate of burning. So the hot air oxygen to the fire and increase rising from the fire cause a partial vacuum. Cold air with a free supply of oxygen rises in at the base. The larger and hotter the fire, the stronger is the draft created by the fire. So ito yung sa kanina. When carries additional oxygen to the fire increase the rate of burning. So ang hangin ay additional lang sunog kasi lumalanta yung apoy. That's all, ma'am.
So today I will discuss what to do in combating this kind of fire. First is never attempt to control a running fire from the uphill direction. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay wag na wag subukang pigilin ang isang apoy na patakbo, pataas o paakyat na direksyon dahil mas mabilis kumalat ang apoy if it is running uphill because the fuels above the fire are brought into closer contact with upward moving flames. Second is, men or equipment should never approach the head of a fire from when the approach necessitates travel in a draw, valley, or canyons. Ibig sabihin nito ay wag na wag lumapit kung saan nagsimula sa halip maghanap ng ibang paraan. The correct point to begin control is at the tail on the upward side to the fire line or at the head of the fire when it reaches a crease and starts its lower downhill burning. Ibig sabihin nito, dapat simulan ang pag-apula ng apoy kung saan mabagal ang pagkalat nito hanggang umabot sa ulo kung saan na nagsimula ang apoy.
I'm Marinico Galarian and I'm going to report about the methods of natural cover fires. First is what we call direct method of control. This method is very effective against natural cover fire but can be used only on moderately hot fires. Either the sectional or the one-licked attack may be used. Next is the indirect method of control. So, indirect method of control. This is the natural cover fire control method. Initials the use of fire breaks or burners. Natural fire barriers consist of lakes, rivers, creeks, deserts, or bare rock formation. So, there are two barriers that will stop a natural cover fire if they are wide enough to prevent the spread of spot fires, which is the natural barriers may be augmented by an artificial fire breaks. So let's go now to the barriers that will stop the natural cover of fire. The first one is fire breaks. Artificial fire breaks consist of roads, highways, survey lines, or cleared areas. Specific lines may be cut to prevent the progress of fires that may break out in the future. So, fire break must be at least twice wide as the height of the surrounding natural cover fire or cover types. These breaks should be cleared to confirmed nearly possible with the ridge lines to connect natural barriers. So, also fire breaks must be cleared or brushed and grass to keep fire from traveling through these flash fuels. Most permanent fire breaks include small trails built conjunction with the breaks. So this we have here two examples of fire breaks. So this fire breaks is human made, where this was made because to prevent the fire on spreading into the entire forest. Next one is the backfires. So backfires are employed to bomb back toward the advancing heads, thus creating a fast break and stopping the fire because of lack of fuel. Also, fires are normally used where suitable network or fire breaks already exist. Backfiring should not be attempted except on orders of an officer who is fully aware of the existing conditions. Improper backfiring causes loss of control of the fire and may trap a personnel working on the line. Great damage and loss of while and equipment may result when backfires are improperly executed. So this is the example of backfires. So this is natural creek or the fire break. This is a natural cover or the natural fire break. In this one is a human-made fire break. So that's the difference between the two, the natural fire break and the second is the human-made fire break. So the whereabouts of the personnel and equipment must be known before the backfiring is started. So because before backfire is lighted, sufficient personnel and equipment must be in the area and ready to use to control the resultant fire, because the wind direction and velocity must considered in the conjunction with other natural or artificial fire breaks.
So today, I'm discussing you the two methods for controlling and extinguishing various types of natural cover fires. First, sectional method. Sectional method is a cross-sectional study involves looking at data from a population at one specific point in a time. This method is often used to make an reference about possible relationship or to gather preliminary data to support further research and experiment. So ito po ay isang cross-sectional daw na pinag-aaralan na nagkasangkot ng pagtingin sa isang data na nagmula sa isang population na isang tukoy sa punto ng oras. Ito ay isang pamamaraang madalas na ginagamit upang gumawa ng mga hinuha tungkol sa mga posibleng mga relasyon o upang makalilom ng paunang data upang upang sumuportaan ang kanilang mga karagdagan or paniksikan sa isang pag-eksperimento. Sa second, one-click method. Ito po ay isang progressive system of building a fire line on a wildfire without changing relative position in the line. Each worker uses one to several licks or stroke with a given tool and moves forward a specific distance to make room for the worker behind. So, ito po ay isang progresibong sistema ng pagbuo ng isang fire line sa isang wildfire nang hindi binabago ng mga kamag-anak na ang posisyon ng isang linya. Ang bawat manggagawa ay gumawa ng isa sa maraming mga pagdila o stroke na may isang naibigay na mga kagamitan o pagtapos na sumusulong sa isang tinukoy na distansya upang bigyan ito ng mga puwang ang mga manggagawa sa likuran.
Bum.